Are you over 50 and you want to look and feel fabulous, have fun, love life, and even date? Well, you are in for a treat this evening because our guest is a woman who won a beauty pageant in her 60s, and she's an executive and a very accomplished leader in corporate and nonprofit arenas. She's also a life coach who helps women embrace and celebrate their power to live their best life. And I'm so honored to invite back for the second time Dr. Geneva Jones Williams. Welcome.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, hey, it was so good the first time I had to accept your invitation to come back again,
Thank
because I had
you.
such a fabulous time talking with you. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for having me back.
It's my honor. It's my honor. And you are such a wonderful wellspring of knowledge and wisdom and exciting high energy guidance. And so I'm thrilled that you're here. You're a podcaster. It's called Ignite to Impact.
Mm-hmm.
And you have books and you speak and you're a coach and you do so many dynamic things. So, right now, we are going to talk about being over 50, feeling and
Mm-hmm.
looking fabulous, having fun, and loving life. Why is that
Yes.
such an important message for us?
Well, one basic reason is that we're living longer. So, our parents and our grandparents, their life expectancy was much shorter than ours. So we can expect, because of
Mhm.
medical technologies, because of the whole emphasis on eating better and being more fit and vibrant, we're living longer. So when you get to your 50s, there was a time when so many people said, life is over.
Mm.
I've lived this half a century, it's over. And also, people were retiring at early ages. Well, all of that has changed. So, the life expectancy that we have, really tells us that we could very well be living in our 70s, our 80s, and our 90s. And so, if we're going to live that long, it's not just about, living all those years. I believe it's about living vibrantly. So we
Yes.
want to be able to laugh and be fit and have fun and, all of that for the next 20, 30 years.
Yes.
Because if we take care of ourselves, we're going to see ourselves in the 90s, having
Woohoo!
fun and kicking it.
I love it. I love it. So, how do we do that?
Well, one of the things that I think is so important, Elizabeth, is that we very intentionally think about, well, what do I want to be? What do what's my purpose? So many times when we turn 50 and we look back and say, I've lived, half a century, and things are changing. When you get into your 50s at midlife, stuff starts to happen, that hadn't happened before. You're picking up weight in certain places and losing it in others. You're finding different color hair, like gray, popping up that you hadn't seen before. You're going through menopause. You're thinking about your partner, and looking at your partner and saying, okay, so we're going to be together for another 20, 30 years. You're perhaps taking care of aging parents, and your children most likely are moved on and gone on. So there's so much happening,
Mhm.
so many challenges, so many changes that I think that one of the things that's helpful is that you think about what you want your life to look like
Mhm.
for the next 50 years, for the next half century. And so I think that's a very important step. And I know when I got into my 50s, one of the things that I said to myself is, well, not only do I want to live a long life, but I really do want to live it vibrantly. I
Yes.
mean, I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. I
Mm,
want to have fun.
mm,
I want to still be active and contribute. And I really, for myself, I hadn't really seen retirement as an option because I always wanted to be active. And so whether you want to, retire or not, or however you choose that, I think it's important to be intentional about it and think about it. So
mhm.
I think one of the very first steps is to have a game plan and
Okay.
vision yourself. And I know because, those life changes will happen. And when I got into my 60s, I started experiencing things that frankly I really hadn't thought about. I hadn't planned for it. I ended up taking care of my parents. I ended up taking care of my husband, who had cancer. And I didn't know that I would be in this caregiving role at all. And so I really didn't plan for it. And then when they all passed, pretty much around the same time, that kind of grief and shock and everything that goes along with that, with and then at the age I was in, because I was like in my mid 60s or so, and I had been with, I mean, those three people had been in my life all my life.
Mhm.
And so I hadn't even, you know, imagined what life would be like without them. But that's the
Mm,
thing, Elizabeth, about loving. That
mhm,
one thing about loving is that we love and we lose the
mm,
longer we live. And so I found myself having to reinvent myself. I had to find my purpose. I had to really think about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life because I wanted to keep on living. I knew it was going to be hard and tough and, all of that, but I wanted to keep on. So I think the second thing, getting a plan, I think the second thing it's important to do is be open to doing something different in your life.
oh, yes. Okay. Mhm,
Kind of reinventing yourself.
mhm, mhm,
So I know those are two things that I found, really very important. And to find, I had to say to myself, well, I had to come to the realization that I'm not done yet. I don't want to be done yet. So then what am I going to do about it? And what's next?
Right.
And
Yes.
facing
Okay.
that sometimes is kind of scary.
Mhm,
But I realized that I had to face it.
mhm, mhm. So you're saying have a plan, envision what you want to do with the next 50 years,
Right.
and then figure out how you want to reinvent yourself and what do you truly want? And then how do you go
Exactly.
after doing that? Mhm,
Exactly. And I know for me, as I said, well, I want to, live not only a long life, but vibrantly. And
mhm,
so I began to define for me what was a vibrant life. And
mhm.
so a vibrant life for me is looking good, feeling good, and doing good.
Ooh.
So yeah, so the feeling good has to do a lot with, the physical health and that I'm fit and that I'm balanced in life, that I understand that I've got to make me a priority,
Mhm,
that I can still be everything and, be with others and have love and care for others, but me has to be a priority.
mhm.
And then the looking good isn't just the physical appearance, though, I spent a lot of time in thinking about that and kind of reinventing my look and all of that. Um, but it also, I think, has to do with rediscovering that confidence that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure, because, when you feel confident, I believe it just oozes through, when
Yeah.
you feel that way inside, it oozes out of you
Mm-hmm.
and it radiates, and
Mm-hmm.
having that sparkle and energy and passion, and who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you really do. And then the doing good, Elizabeth, really has to do with, speaking up and leaving legacy. Because I think one of the things when we get to midlife and as we grow older, what we want to leave, the legacy, it becomes very important to
Yes.
us.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that doing good for ourselves and for others and in the community, because so many of us, particularly those who are, boomers, or late Gen Xers in our 50s, our 60s, and our 70s, particularly boomers, we came through a period of where, it was all about community and, what you did for others and action. And many of us were activists.
Mm-hmm.
And, this day and time, I don't feel we should lose that. I think this
Right.
is our time to continue, because so many, particularly young people, are looking for and trying to figure out, well, how do I work in community? How do I have an agenda that
Mm-hmm.
lets me have my business, have my career, work with my family, and contribute and work in the community? And so many of us as boomers, did that, and
Yes.
so I
Yes.
think we have a particularly good, so that do good piece,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's, just increasing your volunteering in your church or your synagogue, or,
Mm-hmm.
starting a nonprofit for young girls, or, leadership for young girls, or whatever it is, that do good part, particularly boomers, know how to do
Mm-hmm.
good. We
Mm-hmm.
really do. And
Mm-hmm.
so finding places and opportunities to do that, it's never too late.
No, it's never
It's
too
never too
late.
late.
Hmm. So I love how this all really goes back to a mindset. It's a
Hmm.
mindset that life can be fun and fulfilling and exciting and
Yes.
adventurous. So can you talk about the importance of having the power to shift your thoughts? Because I've heard some people in their 40s say, "Oh, I'm so old." No.
Hmm.
If you claim that, you'll be that. But if
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
claim vitality, you'll live a vibrant life. So how do you do
Hmm.
that? Because a lot of people are
Absolutely.
conditioned. Oh, I'm going to get sick. Oh, I'm going
Hmm.
to need a cane. No, you
Hmm.
don't.
Hmm. Elizabeth, I think that's you put your finger on, I think, one of the biggest challenges, particularly for women. It's funny. I think it was Mickey Rooney who said, everybody wants to live a long life, but don't nobody want to grow old.
Right.
You know?
That's
So,
excellent.
you know what I mean? So, if you
Yes.
want to live, if you want to live a long
Live.
life, that's the point. And the thing is, every day we grow older. So so
Hmm.
so it's important to embrace that. But there's a lot of research and studies that talk about this mindset thing, because there are too many of us who walk into or approach your milestone 50th birthday with a mindset of, "Mm, it's over, I'm done, half a
No.
century,"
Uh-huh.
or, I'm getting ready to turn 50 and I haven't achieved or accomplished all I want to do. And so that's almost seen like downward, this downward trend.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that's so critical, and so you approach your 50s and midlife either, full of joy and vibrancy to, look at that second act as, the best life, or
Hmm.
you face it as, I'm going to get old, my kids are leaving,
Hmm.
I'm going to, not be able to do all the things I wanted to do. I want to do, you have a whole list and you're not going to be able to get to it. So I do think it is a mind game. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the ways that I think that you approach your 50s, or even if you're in your 50s and you getting ready to be in your 60s, or in your 60s and getting ready to be in your 70s, as I am,
Uh-huh.
um, that you figure out what your next steps could be. That in
Mm.
fact there are endless possibilities at any age, and you can capture that. You can design the life you love. And
Yes.
one of the things I always say to folk is, okay, first reimagine. Imagine yourself, do that visioning. What does your future life look like? What is it that you want to be? Do you want to start, that thing that you always wanted to do and never had time because you were taking care of spouses or children or busy in your career, what have you, but you wanted to write that novel. You
Mm-hmm.
understand
Oh
that,
yeah.
Elizabeth. You help so many people do that. You wanted to write that book. Well, hey, why not? So you vision, you imagine, and think about all the things how you want your life as step number one. And step
Mm.
number two is, once you have that idea, that picture, that mental image of what it is you want to do next, then you craft goals and an action plan to get there. And I always tell folk, when you're setting goals, which are really action steps to get you to making your dream become real,
Mm-hmm.
is that you write them down. We know through research that you have a much better chance of achieving your goals if you write them down and you have a game plan to go along with that. So that means you have your goals, you have some timelines, when you want to start a goal, when you want to have it complete, you have
Mm-hmm.
some accountability built into that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, doing that, so the visioning, the goals, and then, of course, always in that process, I think, is self-care. And, we talk a
Yes.
lot about self-care, and
Mm.
there's a lot of rhetoric about it. Self-care ain't selfish. You got to take care of yourself. I mean, we know all of that, but really, how real serious are we about caring about ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, do you in fact have what I call a self-care calendar,
Ooh,
where
what's
you
that?
actually schedule your self-care? And
Mm-hmm.
self-care just ain't about a massage, though that's a good thing now. Okay. But self-care is about how you take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, socially.
Mm-hmm.
Even saying no, or
Mm-hmm.
learning how to say no,
Mm-hmm.
is a self-care tip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So actually think about the various areas of your life and make sure that you have self-care activities. Google it, look it up. There's a whole bunch of information and suggestions, and then schedule it,
Mm.
plan it. And so having that self-care calendar, I think, is another way
Mm-hmm.
that helps us plan for a vibrant life. And then, Elizabeth, I think you should define what a vibrant life is for you.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I have. For me, is looking good, feeling good, and doing good. So I've defined that for myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
know for me exactly what that means. And so
Mm.
I have that. And then what I'm trying to do every day is to make sure I'm doing goals and activities and tasks that get me to that. Now, I don't win every day. I'm gonna tell you that. There'd be lots of times where I'd be messing up, and there'd be so many challenges. Between the deaths of loved ones, and I'm trying to do a career and stepping out. And that's up and down. And I took on this becoming a late life entrepreneur in my late 60s. I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes, half the times. So it ain't perfect, but it's fun, and I do have a game plan. So
Yeah.
when I go off track, I know I'm going off track. and because I have it posted and I can see it, and those things that we can do for ourselves. So
I love
that's
it.
that's what I think.
I love it so much. And you also have a commitment to having fun. Can you talk about that,
Mhm.
please?
Well, I, yeah. So, like, I'm a cartoon watcher, so I watch cartoons, and I like to draw and paint, and I love my hobbies, and I love to laugh, and so I watch all the you can watch YouTube or turn on the TV and see all kinds of, if you love Kevin Hart like I do, or Steve Harvey, who I listen to every morning, I
Hmm.
find different ways to laugh and have
Hmm.
fun. And I think another way that I've had fun is the dating scene, which
Uh-oh.
for
Okay.
me, yeah, for me has just been a real trip.
Oh, I want to hear all
Because
about it.
yeah, well, again, my husband passed. We had a fabulous 40-year marriage. And
Wow.
after we met, and 3 days later, we said we were going to get married. A year later, we did, and we were together 40 years and would be together today if
Wow.
cancer hadn't taken him away.
Right.
And so for me, I had to go through that grief and guilt and all of that that goes with um, the loss of someone you've been with that long. And many
Hmm.
many women go through this, but
Hmm.
facing widowhood, which I didn't plan for at all, think about nothing. um,
Mm.
though he was in insurance. I have to tell you this. He was an
Oh,
insurance man, so he thought about all. He left me
wow.
real good,
Uh-huh.
okay, because he was
Okay.
he was always thinking about that. So that was good.
Mm.
But so for me, I'm dating again, and it was like had to learn everything from scratch, because everything from, I was on Clubhouse, this new social media platform.
Yes.
Elizabeth, you and I have
Uh-huh.
talked about it.
Uh-huh.
And the topic of the room was, should a man ask you first for a date?
Uh-huh.
And so I said, oh my goodness, let me go in here and find out what people are talking about,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because it's this whole new, it's just really different. Because, when I grew up and come up, it was, yeah, the man, you know, was the lead in much of that. Now, we of course have our subtle ways and all of that, but the man was the lead. But
Uh-huh.
they were just having this big conversation about, no, you as a woman, you need to go for what you want, and if you see, and all of this. So I was just sitting there. I was fascinated by
Oh.
all this new stuff that I'm learning about
Uh-huh.
dating. And
Uh-huh.
so I began to talk to women, a lot of women, about their dating experience and the online dating, and if they're doing that, and what do you do, and how do you. So I've kind of picked up some tips that from other women, but that have also helped me as I'm dating as well. So, I think that's a big part of us um, being in midlife, whether we have a partner or we're looking for a partner, or we've lost a partner and are now looking, or whatever that is, or just being content with being single. It's okay,
Yes, for sure.
to
For sure.
be alone but not be lonely.
Right. Yes, yes,
All of
yes.
that. But the point is, my only point is, all those options are open to you, and you can do anything you want to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. So I want to talk about confidence and the reality of aging in a very youth-oriented society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so our bodies change, we get
Yes.
wrinkles, things aren't not as perky as they used to be, and
Right.
etc. Okay, our weight or shapes
Right.
might change. And so there's always this comparison because there's always all these new young women coming up to compare yourself or compete with, or so you might think. So, what's the mindset that women over 50 should have about dating when it comes to
Mhm.
confidence and not looking 25 anymore?
Mhm. Well, the first thing I always say, and I wrote a book about living life over 50, and I have
Mhm,
several chapters that are, which you can get on Amazon.
mhm.
And I have several chapters that speak to that. But the first thing I say is, don't compare.
Oh,
You
yes.
know,
There you go.
yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna lose that, and you don't want that. Don't compare, because you ain't 25 no more. And what you want to be is 55 and 65 and 75 and 85 and looking good. That's
Mhm,
what you want, because you
mhm,
you can't go back, even if
mhm,
you really really want to. So that's
mhm,
one thing I say about don't compare. And then secondly, I think it's very important to know who you are.
mhm.
And to I've a lot of the women I've talked to, they tell me straight off, well, Dr. Geneva, I got my list of what I want to see in a man, find in a man, and what I want in terms of dating.
Mhm.
And I say, that's really great. It's important for you to know what you want. And then I ask the question, are you the person that you want? Mhm.
Wow,
So a lot of
wow.
times we put traits that we want men to come to the table with. And I always ask, do you have those traits? So do you
Mm.
have, you want a man who's honest and who cares for you and who shows you this and that and who looks good, who's financially independent, etc. Are you that person as well? So I always think
Mm.
that it's important to start with where you are
Mhm.
first, what
Mhm.
you bring to the table. And
Mhm.
as we go through that inventory, self examination of ourselves and where we are and what we bring,
Mhm.
I think it's important for us to, in that context, ask what it is that we want. Because, of course, we want the best,
Mhm.
and accepting the best and going for the best is cool. That's what we need to do. So it's
Mhm.
like a two-step process. You do that self inventory and figure out what it is that you want, and always expect the best, and then
Mhm.
look at your own confidence scale.
Mhm.
Because one of the things I found, and I as I've been told, as I am back in this dating world, and as I see it, you know, being confident is sexy.
Yeah. Yes.
It is. You put on them nice leggings,
Uh-huh.
okay? You get the cold shoulder outfits. I think they're fabulous for women in
Mhm.
midlife. Nice little collar with the cold shoulder, so you show a little something something. Maybe have a unbutton down here, and then you put on this fabulous jewelry and accessories, and you walk that walk, girl, because it's about that confidence, and you just walk. And I'm telling you, the confidence and the elegance and the because see, you're walking in a life full of wisdom and
Yes.
experience,
Uh-huh.
because you've been there. And so you know what it is, you know who you are and whose you are. You
Oh,
know that.
yes.
And that in itself is so attractive,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it helps you feel sensual
Mhm.
and great. And it's very attractive, because we attract what we send out.
Yes,
So if
yes.
we feel confident,
Uh-huh.
feel sensual, and we feel that way, and we carry ourselves that way, we're going to send out them
Yeah.
vibes. We'll send out those vibes in the atmosphere. And
Mhm.
be able to, men pick that up.
Uh-huh.
So I definitely believe,
Oh.
it just oozes from ourselves.
Mhm. I love that so much. And it's never too late to get that confidence because if a woman went through her
Absolutely.
life not feeling that, now's the time to boss up, goddess, and get that
That's right.
get that
That's
energy.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can boss up goddess at any age.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have worked with women who, have, you know, raised children, taken care of their man, children. I mean, just done incredible caring and support and nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have those life changes, which happen.
Mm-hmm.
Spouse, there's a change in marital status, whether divorce or death or whatever. The
Mm-hmm.
children have grown up and moved on. And so now they're like, kind of at the place where it's important for them to think about, well, what about me?
Yes,
And,
yes.
reinventing themselves. So the reinvention, the reimagining, the redo, this is the time to do it. And you
Oh,
can,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you really can. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're in that kind of situation, um, why not start out with something different and new and do what you've always wanted to do because you ain't done yet. And so, and you can really create the life that you love. One of the things I like to do is to um, flip through magazines, and the looks that I might see, or the clothing or the style, I'll rip them out. I'll rip
Uh-huh.
them out of the magazine, old school. Pick up a magazine because, all the young people, all they do is go online.
Right.
No, I'm talking old school,
Uh-huh.
actually have it in my hand, rip it out, etc. And then look at those styles and study those styles. And then today you can go online and browse. If you see a style that you like, you can go online and find a store or what have that has that style.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can do that these days. And these days, they have where you can actually get measured. They have measuring apps online in these apparel
What?
stores now, and
Wow.
they actually take a picture of you or a scan of you, and
Mm.
you can get your measurements, and then you actually go online
Mm-hmm.
and shop and buy your looks, etc. But you can experiment and get yourself another new look. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything from getting, you know, hair pieces, hair accessories, wigs, different colors. Why
Mm.
not?
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, ask yourself, well, why not? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so somebody's going to come up and slap you or punish you or something because you
No.
tried a new hairstyle?
Right, right.
Mm-mm.
I love
Girl,
it.
you got it, particularly if you've lived half a century.
Right.
Uh,
I love that. I love that. Dr. Geneva, what does it mean to you to boss up, goddess?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I go to the goddess part of boss up
Okay, I love that.
because, I think that's what we are. And I think that's when we look at ourselves, my favorite, and I may have shared this with you before, Elizabeth. We talk so much about this, but one of my favorite quotes by Mary McLeod Bethune is, after God, we're indebted to women. First, for making life possible, and second, for making life worth living. And
Wow.
so for me, that's the goddess part.
Oh,
I
yes.
think we as women make life worth living. And
Yes.
oftentimes we don't realize the power that we have and the influence we have on everything and everyone. And we need to
Mm-hmm.
stop that. We need to recognize, accept it. I mean, hey, look at our new vice president of the United States.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And look who got her there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is like showing power from two very important perspectives. So, the
Mm-hmm.
goddess part of that, I believe, is living in our influence, in our power, and in our passion. And the
Yes.
boss up, in my view, talks about the accountability that I think that we have, particularly as women, and especially as Black women. I think there's um, a so when I think about boss up, I think about the leadership, influence that we have a responsibility to take on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only the responsibility to step out there and create paths and do what we know is right and good for ourselves and for our people,
Mm-hmm.
but also to create and show that path for younger people, for those that we leave this legacy. So bossing up is taking on, in my view, the responsibility to lead and to leave legacy. So that's
Oh,
what I think about boss up goddess.
woo! I love that.
You got
Wow.
it going on. It's your show. You the one who put out there that boss up goddess. Because I think you're a living example of it. I
Thank you.
think about all that you do and you've done to help people put their feelings, their desires, their accomplishments, their fears, their successes in words
Yes.
and then communicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about a book, it really is back to that legacy and leaving lessons and creating lessons. And you give people the uh, power and the opportunity to do that. I was listening to one of your podcasts where you were taking people through a step by step process of how you put a book together. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just wonderful. I said, boy, I wish I had that when I did my book. You know? But you really do, it's just such a great and valuable service. So,
Thank
I'm
you.
just
Thank you. It's my
honored
gift and I love to
always to
share
be
it.
in your presence.
Oh, well, the feeling is more than mutual, Dr. Geneva. I just respect and admire you so very much. And it's always a delight to talk with you. I
Thank
learn
you.
so much every time we talk, and you're so fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome. Is
such a
there anything
pleasure to
else?
be here with you.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we go this evening?
No, I just want folk, if you're interested, please go to Amazon, put my name in, buy my book, Living Life Over 50. I have a Facebook group called Extraordinary Women Influencers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into Facebook, do that. But if not, if you just want to, stay and connect on a regular basis, go to my website, Dr. Geneva Speaks, and join my email community. I send out regularly value tips and tools to, help us continue to make personal, professional, and community impact at
Mm-hmm.
any age.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're engaged in. So Dr. Geneva Speaks. You can always find me any place with that
I'll put
handle.
the
That's
link
what the
here.
young people say. They call it a handle,
Handle, right?
whatever. Yeah, that's right. That's
I'll put I know, handle, that sounds so weird, but I'll
right.
put your website address here under the in the description box and a link to your book so people can buy your book, and if they want to work with you as a life coach, you're available as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I love talking with women. When I work with women, I'm always about, okay, let's develop the action plan. I want to help people, women move from point A to point B.
Mhm.
So many women that I talk to are uncertain about their next steps, whether
Mm.
because there are turning points, whether it is that milestone birthday or it's a retirement or a new career or a new job, but it's like, well, what do I do now? And they're
Mhm.
uncertain. So I like to work particularly with women around that, reducing that uncertainty
Yes.
and getting a game plan, an action plan in, for you. And so I
Mhm.
help women go through those steps of moving from point A to B and
Mhm.
being where that, from uncertainty to realizing their dreams, from,
Mm.
fear to be able to jump out the bed every morning with a smile on your face saying,
Mhm.
hey, I know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, whatever it
Yes.
is, but moving from that transformation I'm interested in. And that's really how I help women, with their planning and their action, so that when you work with me, you're going to get a personal action plan
Oh, I
that
love
you
that
can
so much.
implement.
Mhm. Mhm. Excellent. I'm so grateful that you joined me tonight, Dr. Geneva, and I hope you'll
Thank
come
you.
back again. And
Ah,
everybody,
my
please,
pleasure.
please check out Dr. Geneva's website and her book. As you can see, she's a very inspiring and knowledgeable leader and coach who's here to help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. So thank you again, and we will see you again
Mm,
soon.
thank
Mwah.
you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you, all of you, for joining us this evening on Boss Up Goddess. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I showcase trailblazing women like Dr. Geneva Jones Williams, who helps us all live bigger, better, and bolder when they share their wisdom and knowledge. So please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'd love to hear what you thought about the show. If you have any questions, please follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Atkins. And remember, boss up, goddess. You have the power. I'll see you next time.